Is everybody in the right room? Just so we're clear. We are talking about patient experience. Yes, okay, great. So I'm much more excited about the panel today than I am certainly myself. And the funner things about me are I'm a washed up bartender and ballerina. So I expect all of you to have more fun disclosures about yourself as we talk. I'm honored today to have the panel that we have, and I'm going to make a round of introductions, and then I'll ask each of them to really spend a little bit of time talking about their approaches to enhance the patient experience. Ready? All right. On my left is Amy Cueva, who is the Chief Experience Officer of a company called MadPow. She is exceptional. I've met her several times, rethinking how we're designing experiences to enhance patient experience as well as their emotional journey. I'm going to give you a second to talk about yourself in a minute. Brian Beerbaum, who is the CEO, director of a company called Blue Spire, which really thinks very intelligently about the journey patients take through systems and how we can leverage what we know about them to drive experience as well as better outcomes. Is that fair?
Yeah, seriously.
Mohammed is CEO of a company called CarePassport, you're going to hear more about, which is absolutely driving getting technology to enhance the ability to get access, both to appointments, information, labs, and actual x-rays, MRIs, imaging, in the hands of patients no matter where you are. And lastly, Pei Lu, who's come to us from Augmetics, which is just a phenomenal company driving something that if you haven't heard about it, now's your chance. Because some of the innovations in your space are about creating Google Glass and remote scribes to really enhance the relationship that physicians, clinicians have with their patients and to take some of the burden off of their plate. So with that, welcome. Amy, I'm going to turn it over. Each of you, I'd like you to spend 2 to 3 minutes. We'll try to keep it tight, describing a little bit more in depth about what you do.
Great. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I am the Chief Experience Officer of MadPow, and we are an experience design agency. And so our mission is to leverage human-centered design to improve health, help people achieve financial well-being, help them learn, and help them connect. And when I say human-centered design, what I mean is the core philosophy that we should include the people who will be affected by the solutions we create in the process of creating them. And so that means really understanding their needs, what they value, what they're facing in the course of their everyday lives, their challenges, their obstacles. We work with organizations from across the health ecosystem, from payer to provider to government to nonprofit, and we're designing, yes, technologies and digital tools to bring greater convenience and utility and self-service to the experience. But we're also trying to figure out how do we connect all of these interactions, whether they're physical environment, person to person, technology, how do we connect them all so that we're designing intentionally a journey that guides the patient towards greater health and well-being. And we're not just looking at spreadsheets, those are wonderful, but we're really getting to know people and what makes them tick. What are their cognitive expectations? What are their emotional expectations? And designing for those and keeping those in mind. We're trying to guide our clients in the evolution that's happening. We're not just designing products and technologies. We're not just designing services. We're designing our organizations to be more human-focused, to find their purpose and figure out how to gather together across all silos to deliver on that purpose. And that means moving away from designing for sickness and moving into designing for health. And in finance, moving away from designing for debt management and designing for financial well-being. And so we're helping our clients clarify that purpose and deliver on it.
And you've had some wonderful clients to do that.
Oh, yes. From governments, government, large pharma, and more insurance companies than I care to mention. And I love it because they have the opportunity to deliver innovation at scale. And they understand, insurance companies, for example, they're not just your partner in adjudication, they're your partner in health. And pharma companies are understanding that it's not just drugs, it's the digital therapies that will help people change their behaviors and achieve better health, leading to a world where we might graduate from being dependent upon a medication because we've made the lifestyle changes to improve our health and well-being.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Brian?
Yes, Brian Bierbaum from Blue Spire Strategic Marketing. We focus on developing one-to-one, truly personalized patient experiences for healthcare providers, payers, state-based exchanges, co-ops, and with a firm focus on helping the patient when they start their journey, often with Dr. Google, and moving through to the point of care, and then moving through, hopefully, to a healthy outcome. So really focused on weaving digital into the clinical patient experience.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Mohammed?
So Mohammed Shoura from CarePassport. So one of the biggest problems in the U.S. and everywhere in the healthcare that it's very difficult to get access to your medical records and images. And even through the EMR, it's mostly a portal, so you have to log into the portal, and also not all the information you can get it. So we design a platform called CarePassport where patients will have an app, a native app, and then they will be able to select the hospitals. So you can search hospitals near me, and then if, let's say, Cleveland Clinic is your hospital, you are going to add a Cleveland Clinic to your network. They will get a request from you. They will see all your information, your photo, copy of the insurance card, emergency contacts, email, and cell phone. And they will see your profile, and they will check, maybe you're eligible to be in this hospital or not, and then they will add you. Once they add you, you will be completely connected to the EMR, so you can access all your information and appointments, and also you'll be connected to the PACS system, so you will have an access to the X-ray and MRI and CT, whatever the volume, even if it's 10,000 multi-slice CT, you will have an access. In the same time, also other experience, if you move outside the state, there's no solution to do that. So I'm from Boston. If something happened to me and then I go to the Cleveland Clinic, which is one of the biggest and the most advanced hospital in the world, I will not be able to move my records back to Boston. There is no solution for that right now. We spend billions of dollars on EMR and HIEs, but we can't have that. So the only solution we found is we give the patient the control. So the patient will have an app. He will control his own data. Once he will be able to connect to hospitals, he will have access, and then he will get the access, and then he can move his records to another hospital. So imagine that you're going to Dubai next week for a vacation. So we add several cities now. So we add Dubai, Frankfurt, Vienna, and some other cities with the hospitals. So you look into the directory of let's say the hospitals in Dubai. You are staying in the area of Burj Dubai. You will see the hospitals around your hotel. You will connect to. Once they accept you, and they will accept you because you will be a patient, paying money through like cash or insurance, they will be able to accept you, and then you will get your records, access to your records. And then if you move back to Boston, you'll be able to, through your app, you will have access to your records, and then you will be able to send it back to your hospitals in Boston.
Mohammed, any
I think
comments?
we are trying to treat the healthcare as like a different industry, which is healthcare is dealing with consumers. So consumers, we are dealing with banks, and we are dealing with apps. We can move money with apps. They used cloud. They used one card. You can put any ATM machine, then you can get your money. Looking also into the flight, and if you have a flight, you can use an app. Expedia, American Airlines, Lufthansa, whatever, you can do a lot of things. You can get notification for your trip. You can get information about where is your luggage. You can download records, which is like your boarding pass, which is a TSA document, which is very critical. Imagine that, if like there's a terrorist or something use or hack the system and use your boarding pass, especially if your name is Mohammed, and then he can use it in another whatever. So we are trying to deal with healthcare as like it's something that we cannot touch. It's dealing with consumers, and we should liberate the industry and move it to the next level. Patients they would like to get an easy access to the records, and they can, because if you go to the hospital and you try to convince them that let's use something easy for the hospital, most of the hospital, they will tell you, we don't care about patients. They will tell you that. And we have discussion with a major hospital system. And I remember one of them, it's not Cleveland Clinic, but they said that we would prefer to bring nice chairs for the patients in the reception, or maybe massage chairs, rather than giving them an easy access to the records. We cannot get immediate access to our records. They have to keep it for 3-5 days, 3 weeks, until they verify everything, and then they give us access. And we remember today that we were mentioning, I remember when I was going to do a lab test for vitamin D, I just want to know vitamin D, is it 25 or 30 or whatever, just want to know the number. And the lady told me that, give me your email so we can give you an access to the portal. And I said, okay, that's great. And she told me, you will get access in 2 days. I told her, 2 days, that's fine. She told me, no, it's not for you. It's for the physician 2 days, but for you it's going to be 3 weeks. Why 3 weeks? I don't know. I get access to my one number, which is whatever, 25 or 30, after 4 weeks. So that's what's happening right now. So healthcare is...
Yeah, so let's talk about this a little bit, because even here I've heard conversations and was sharing a little bit earlier about this. What are the unintended consequences of immediate access, right? We're an organization that's pushing toward earlier and immediate access to many of lab values and testing that people have to avoid the delays, major patient dissatisfaction issue. What are unintended consequences of that, or are there? I'm provocative, so.
I think, if there's a cancer patient, I don't have to wait for 3 weeks. But, on the other side, I asked, one of the physicians, why you are giving 3 weeks to give me the results? She told me, we are afraid if you are a cancer patient and you get panic, but I will be in a panic all the time because I don't know what's going on. I need my access. Yeah. And at the same time, also, with my experience, I came originally from Egypt, and also I experienced the healthcare system in Dubai and Germany. There is nothing that we don't know here, which is second opinion. All the time when you get access to the records, hospitals are afraid that you are going to shop outside and they lose patients. But there is something everywhere outside the US, it's called second opinion. You get access, and then you can ask maybe a physician in France, you want to get his second opinion.
I got a question to shift a little bit into how do we actually, through your lens, sort of sitting in this world, how can one actually use technology to map patient satisfaction? So people are curious, right? Patient satisfaction is typically patient satisfaction surveys, as we're talking about experience, something bigger. How does technology, customer relationship management, enhanced relationships, how can we enhance patient experience moving forward? What technologies can actually help people map that?
I think we need to do like the other industries. It's like the airlines. We are now satisfied. We are happy. We don't want to, we don't have to wait in front of the kiosk. We can do everything at home before the visit. We can fill surveys. We can know where is our luggage. The banking, we don't have to go to the bank anymore. We should go to the hospital. We must go to the hospital, but at least we can get some sort of an app, push notification. How do you think about your visit? Quick surveys. We can fill our form before the visit, 24 hours before the visit. We can pay our copay, whatever, 1 day before. That's, somehow the patient experience.
So it's a great positive technological advancement, but it also, sometimes it overlooks the micro level of care and the personal touch that is part of patient care. Mm-hmm. And I worry that we're with all these advancements, we're overlooking that sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I still want to talk one-on-one to my physician. I still want someone to help me and explain how I'm getting into the system, what I'm paying for, what I'm doing. And we forget that. So, I mean, how can you balance? And I understand. It's both worlds, but how can we do both?
We spend at least between 15 and 30 minutes before the visit just writing forms, right? This is a waste of time. I'm not facing any physician. Can I do that online through an app? Yes, I can do it. Why I can't do that? I don't know. Why we should wait for 3 weeks to get our results in a mailbox? I don't know why. Should get it in a text message or so this is waste of time. I'm not meeting my physician. I just need to be prepared. So I can go, I check in through an app, scanning a QR code, just like the airlines, go to my physician, spend the time, take my time. But we are wasting a lot of time in the check-in and check-out every time.
Yeah. Some comments I see.
So the question's towards Mohammed. My mother does not want to use the app to print out the boarding pass. She just wants to walk in, want somebody to put the tag on the baggage and send it out. Is apps and layers on top of the existing technology the answer? I think the technology should be behind the background. Patients should be able to walk in, talk to the doctor, get the report, and walk out. I don't think they need to fill in an app, do something, download one more things.
Yeah. I'd like to, it's an interesting concept because not all apps, not all tech solutions will work for all types of patients, right? And intelligent design would mean that you're adapting technology design to the needs of that consumer, right? Not a blanket tech solution as you're describing.
Right, so these guys will use the apps.
To enhance the experience, I think we need to minimize the experience.
Yeah.
We cannot follow the market as in going into the mall and seeing more bling.
Yes, got it. Would anybody like to comment?
I remember. Yeah. So I remember, again, I'm from Egypt, so Uber, okay? 30% of the people, they cannot read and write, not mobile apps. They cannot read, okay? Egypt is the most country that's using Uber. They changed the model to make it cash because also people are not using credit cards. When I go back to Egypt, everybody is using Uber. Have their smartphone, Samsung, whatever, and they were using Uber. So that's, the change, the paradigm shift in the technology, using the technology. I remember, 3-4 years ago or 5 years ago, not everybody has a smartphone. Now everybody has a smartphone. Even if you don't have a smartphone, it's much easier for even elderly patient to use the iPad. Most of your grandfather and fathers, they are having an iPad because it's easy for them. They can read the news, they can check, the Facebook and so on. So technology is changing.
How many of you have ever sat at the bedside of a loved one or a family member and waited for somebody to come in and tell you what was going on? How many, when you sat there, knew what the daily plan of care was for your loved one with times and appointments and imaging? I'd like you to notice that there are absolutely no hands up. When you talk to patients, the most important thing to them particularly is knowing what's going to happen to them, and I would submit to you knowing when it's going to happen. And so delays, when I reflect back on our data, the 20% of hundreds of thousands of patients said delays are a major issue. Technology feels ripe for that. To be telling people so the doc doesn't have to worry that because they're talking to the grieving patient that they have 2 other patients who are waiting. We should be enabling that communication through technology.
I haven't seen my primary care physician for 4 years except like 30 seconds, my primary care physicians. And again, coming from Egypt where I can go anytime paying maximum $5 and I can go to head of department, any hospital without insurance, I came and I discovered that there is nurse practitioner is examining me and taking the decision. Until now, 4 years, I haven't seen my primary care physician.